The central bank has announced it has increased the minimum capital requirements for licensed commercial banks and licensed specialized banks.
Issuing a media release, the central bank notes that enhancing minimum capital requirement will support the implementation of Basel III framework in Sri Lanka to strengthen the resilience of banks and may lead to consolidation in the banking sector. Thereby, the minimum capital requirement of the licensed commercial banks has been increased to 20 billion rupees, while the capital requirement for licensed specialized banks has been increased to 7.5 billion rupees. The minimum capital requirement for banks incorporated outside Sri Lanka has been set at 10 billion rupees. A time period of over 3 years has been granted for existing banks to enhance capital and to meet the minimum capital requirement. A Moody's report published recently regarding the Sri Lankan banking system notes that the outlook for Sri Lanka's banking system is negative, with both asset quality and profitability under pressure.
Two of the largest commercial banks in the country are state banks. There is an attempt to sell a 10% stake of these banks in the stock market. Through this, these banks will be led down to the path of privatization. When Ravi Karunanayake was the Minister of Finance, the profits of these banks were taken by the government to meet their expenses. They pumped in this money and they are now trying to sell its shares by highlighting a capital requirement. As profit-making enterprises, they could have increased their capital using the profits that they generated. State banks are state-owned enterprises. When they make profits, a portion of it goes to the government or the treasury. This does not mean that the government has taken money from these banks. There are two ways in which these banks could increase the capital. One is for the government to provide a loan to the bank. The other is to tell the bank to gather the funds themselves. This could be done in a number of ways. One is to issue their shares or their debentures. This is not a privatization and it is not wrong to make such claims.